for people to come in and make sure we are live, and we'll get started here. Looks good. So, welcome. Elle Ingalls here with Pressure Free Living. You can check out my site. It is ellingalls.com, which is my name down in the corner here. You can also reach the site by pressure-free.com. Topic this morning is perfectionism and comparison. Gosh, where do I start here? I'm going to start here with how sometimes people ask me what's the difference between working with adults and students, because I coach both adults and high achieving students in the pressure free method. And I'd say that one of the things that I notice is that both tend to have perfectionist tendencies. They tend to compare themselves quite a bit to others in their field. If they're a student, to other people on their teams, in their orchestras, in their bands, their choruses. There's so much comparison with social media today, a bit of FOMO, or you see somebody doing something great on social media and like, why can't I do that? Those kinds of thoughts. I find that to be true for both adult and student clients. And I think it's very much ramped up by these little boxes here. Um, that we can have this instant access to see what other people are doing, which we didn't really have before. You're much more only seeing the people in your immediate environment and what they're doing. But when I go back in time too to my youth before this, uh, there we still did a lot of comparing. And depending on what your field is, I certainly don't want a surgeon working on me that has a 10% rate of not executing properly. In other words, I want a surgeon to be quite perfect. And certainly as a classical violinist, that is the case. I remember my first audition at the University of Michigan for placement in orchestras. I get through the entire audition, and one of the professors said, Miss Sterrett, you played a B natural instead of a B flat in the Tchaikovsky. And just stood there and I'm like, oh, I can't play one wrong note. That was a piece of music I'd never seen. It was sight reading, and I played one wrong note, and that affected where I would be placed. So that idea of what are you striving for? What are you working toward? What is it that you really want to see? What outcomes do you want to see? When we're so focused on outcome, we're not involved in process as much. We're so involved in outcome that we miss things. We miss the opportunity to really craft. So, for example, I think of athletes. I'm watching some of the figure skating right now. I love figure skating, and they've done these elements hundreds of times, and yet there'll still be a mistake in competition. So many reasons for it, but despite the fact that there's repetition after repetition after repetition, um, there's something that I share with the athletes I coach, with the clients I coach, even in the business space with meetings, asking yourself, well, how can I up level this in the moment? Like, how can I take this a notch higher? How can I improve in the process rather than repeat, 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 repeat? Because if you're just repeating the same thing, you're not actually changing much of anything except that you've got all these reps behind you. But what if the reps have just this little bit of an increase in attention paid to them? So for example, if I'm working with an athlete, I'll say, okay, when you step out on the court or the ice or wherever you are for practice, how can you improve? How can you change? How can you be better? Instead of just going through the motions of the repetitive thing you've done so many times. So perfectionism, one of the things one of my clients says is like, I don't know if I'll ever be perfect at this. I go, you don't need to be perfect at this. Pressure free is not perfection, it's protection. It's protection from a release of the fight or flight stress hormones. That first flood of hormones are called catecholamines. That's dopamine, adrenaline, and noradrenaline. Big flood of adrenaline, which is why you might be addicted to it. I was addicted to adrenaline when I was younger, before I figured this all out, before 2010. I was definitely an adrenaline addict. I thought it made me powerful because adrenaline and dopamine combo can make you feel pretty powerful. But when you back it all out, you're going to be on a roller coaster. When you take a look and actually look at how your day goes, if you're constantly triggering the stress response, you're literally on this roller coaster of highs and lows, which is why you might get home totally exhausted, not be able to do anything, but then you're up at night because now that second flood of hormones comes out. When the second flood of hormones goes out, it's a wake-up call. It's got some cortisol in it. It's hydrocortisone and cortisone. It's going out to fix your brain cells. It has a very good purpose. People want to cancel cortisol, and they really shouldn't because it has a really great purpose. However, it is a wake-up drug. So now you're awake at 2 or 3 a.m. So getting off that roller coaster um, can lead to you becoming better at the things that you want to do. But it's not, how should I put this? If you do trigger the stress response, you haven't failed. You just had a chance to notice something that this particular thing may cause you to trigger in the future. So it's not perfection, it's protection. You're literally protecting yourself from harmful overabundances of stress hormones that will take you out. You know, stress is called the silent killer for a reason. It's really the release of stress hormones that's the silent killer. You can have a lot of stress, you can have a lot of challenges, a lot of things coming at you, a lot of pressures, but you don't necessarily have to overreact and release these hormones. That is what pressure-free living is all about. And that's what we do here. Um, I think too, another interesting thing that I have noticed for myself is that the more I use this method, the less I feel my ego getting involved in the comparison game and the perfectionism game. Um, I don't see myself doing some of the things I used to do in the past to get attention. The ego wants attention. And I think that the ego is actually a framing that is the result of triggering the stress response. I don't think I've ever said it that way before, but the more and more I study this, the more and more I work with clients, work with myself on this. I really think that the ego is a manifestation because it wants to keep you safe. And those thoughts are what happen when you're in fight or flight. You've got to be safe. You've got to be protected. You've got to you'll sometimes go overboard, like you'll get aggressive or you'll pull back. Like there's so many ways you're keeping yourself safe, but the ego is bound up in that. And so anything can feel like a threat, which is why you see something on social media and you have a reaction because you're comparing yourself to what you're seeing. Can't I can't tell you how I don't think I've ever felt that. Like when I see somebody having a great time in Aruba or somewhere, I'm like, oh, that's so fantastic. Like there's no ego saying, oh my gosh, that should be me. It's because once you actually gain traction in pressure free, like you're really not triggering those stress hormones so much, hopefully going day after day without overabundances, you really get to step into the true you. I actually have clients say that to me. They'll say, "Al, you helped me find the real me, not the stressed out me. Like that wasn't the real me." I'm like, actually finding the real me. Now, once you find the real you, you get to craft the life that you really want. That's a whole different set of expectations, um, a whole different set of value. Your true values actually start to come through, so you can actually design what meets your true needs, not the needs through FOMO or comparison or competition, but the needs that actually mean something to you. And that could be very different than how you feel when you're under the influence of stress hormones. How you feel then is going to be far more, I've got to beat everybody else. We're also trained that way. When you think about schooling, our sports, our music, like a lot of the endeavors that we do, we're trying to be the best, right? One of the things I work on with my clients, and this will be the tool today, is I call it the spirit of contribution that instead of um, wanting to beat everybody else, wanting to be the best, if you can move that and change that into how can you become your best? How can you share your best today under these circumstances in this situation? I would do this with my violin students. Like, how can you take the stage and just share your best on this particular day, on this piece, in these circumstances? And maybe the stage is hot today under those lights or whatever it is, but we'll take so much, we'll put so much pressure on ourselves to be the best. The other thing that happens when we enter what I refer to as the spirit of contribution, when we're really in that energy of contributing, we're contributing to our own growth, to the growth of those around us. Think of this in a meeting situation. Like you walk into the meeting and you walk into the meeting in the spirit of contribution to contribute your unique gifts and talents to elevate whatever is happening, to help solve whatever issues are around the table, to help take this meeting in this company or whatever or nonprofit or whatever it is, church, whatever, take this meeting and actually have something uplift. So when you leave, the energy is different than when everyone came in the room. One of my clients asked, does pressure free make you give you a superpower? Does it make you really powerful? This person's very reserved, very calm, very sweet, and walked into an office where a little argument was going on. And just her presence, like she had really opened up the front of her body, she was really stepping into the office in a very calm, confident way, actually changed the energy of the whole room. She didn't say a thing. So we have a lot of personal power and empowerment that gets to be developed when we're not in a stressed state. In a stressed state, we're going to act very differently, very differently. Some people might go into the argument and fight. Other people might retreat and go back out the door, right? So, oh, I want to add another F. If you followed me for a while, you know the F's are these: fight, flight, freeze, fib, fawn, fidget. And my client, Leila Veronica, or client, she's actually my colleague. She's gone through the pressure method, gone through certification. She goes, you need to add forget to the F's. So these F's are your tendencies once you trigger the stress response. So you might want to fight, be aggressive. You might freeze. You might flee. Some people will make up little lies, little fibs, just to cover their butt, like, oh, yeah, that report's almost done, and you haven't even started. Some people fawn, they over flatter. Oh my gosh, I love your sweater. Like, we just want to belong to the tribe. And from a very young age, we would over flatter in order to belong to groups. So that's a little thing that happens sometimes. Um, and then fidget, like the pen clicker in the room, jiggling the leg, like always in motion. Undoubtedly, they've triggered the stress response that adrenaline's coursing through their veins. They don't want to sit still. They want to move. And then forget or brain fog. You hear a lot about brain fog, like I just can't think straight. Well, that's because those hormones shut down the outer cortex and hippocampus. Like you can't think straight. Decision making is impaired, willpower that I talked about yesterday, and memory. So you can just you can just be so forgetful. Oh my gosh, where are my keys? You know, all the little things we might forget um, happen when we've triggered that stress response. It's really interesting to kind of watch it. And observation, noticing, that's really the deep, the first deep thing that happens when I'm working with people. You just kind of take a step back and say, oh, wow. I mean, I'm still 15, almost 16 years into using my own method on myself, and I'm still finding interesting triggers. Like, oh, I had no idea that here's one. In Michigan, when they fix the roads, they'll fix the cracks, but it's a different color than the road is. That's a trigger for me. I want like that beautiful road that you see, like in a car commercial with the leaves fluttering, whatever. My uncles were project managers for road building in New Hampshire, and some of those roads are so gorgeous. I want that. I want this winding road where the tar is actually absolutely perfect and the lines are pristine. Like that to me is a thing of beauty. And so I realize that if it's not that way, it's like clutter on the road to me, and clutter is definitely a trigger for me. So I hope this has been helpful. Let me know if you need some help, please reach out. you can go to my website, lingles.com. You can book a call with me, and I can learn more about what's going on for you, give you a tip right up front, and see if you want to do some work with me. If you're looking for a speaker for a conference, a workplace training, anything like that, I've been doing those for 16 years almost. So, welcome to Pressure Free Living if you're new here. And I'll be popping this up on my website as well. It'll sit here for 30 days, Facebook, and I also pop a little segment of this on LinkedIn every day. So, have a great pressure free day. Bye.